gang, this is Gary, Three Crosses Wood Carving. And you see before you a couple of wood spirits that I carved. Now I want to tell you a little bit about them before we get started. This one right here is one that I carved in about 35 minutes to 45 minutes, something like that. And I did it in response to some guys that had been to our local carving club and were supposed to learn how to carve a face, and they really didn't have time. So I just decided, well, I'll sit down and see how fast I can carve a simple wood spirit. And this is what I came up with. And I decided at that time, and I put it up on the web and talked about it a little bit, to go ahead maybe and do a short video. I'm going to try to keep it under an hour, to do this very simple man. Now these other two are really along the same lines. This one, though, I spent a little bit more time on. Probably an hour and a half maybe, and he's got just a little bit more detail than the first one. I don't know if you can tell it here on the camera, but he does. Now the third one is another one I did, and I spent just a little bit more time on him. And in these two, I actually, or on this one anyway, I carved the eyes different. Instead of a flat eye, simple eye, I carved them a little bit more like I generally do. And I don't know if you can see the difference here on camera, but in real life there's quite a bit of difference. Now this one here probably took me 2 hours to carve. I probably could have carved him faster, but I was just piddling. But anyway, today we're going to sit down and we're going to shoot a video, and we're going to carve something similar to this. I'm going to take my regular piece of wood. This is naturally part of my off the corner series, where I use a triangular shaped block, as you can see here. And we're going to carve this guy using a minimum amount of tools, and I'll show you what tools we're going to try to use. I may cheat and use one more. I'm going to use a V tool, and if you look at this V tool, it's a little bit different. It's about a 1/2 inch V tool. It's kind of big, and the angle on it is a 45-degree angle, which means it's splayed out a little bit more than most. Now, if you don't have one of these, you can use a regular 1/4 inch V tool of any kind, and it'll work just the same. But I'm going to be using this quite a bit, and you'll see as we go. It's a multi-purpose tool. I'm also going to be using this knife, which is actually a detail knife. And I'm not going to use it a whole lot, but that's what I'm going to be cutting the eyes in, things like that. So you'll see that. And I will probably also use my favorite little gouge. This is a number 7, about a 5/16. I use it to do noses. I use it to remove wood. And going to basically use those 3 tools. Now, you may accidentally see me use this, which is a number 7, about an 1/8 inch actually. And sometimes I'll need to use it. Or you may actually see me use this, my old trusty skew. If you watched any of my videos, you know I'm a strong believer in skews. Skew is nothing more than a knife with a handle, different handle. It's almost like a knife on a stick. But I find that you can get into places that you can't with a knife, and it's also great for rounding up things. So we're going to get started, and I'm going to take my block. This is about a 5-inch block, and I'm just going to basically locate the center. Now I just kind of stick a mark out there, take my pencil, put my finger there, like so. Okay, turn it around like so. And you notice it'd be marked right here. So the center of this, if you actually want an actual center, is halfway in between those. I'm just going to make me a mark. And what this line right here is going to be is the bottom of the nose. If you watched any of my videos, you know I always start off by laying out the nose and carving it. Okay, I'm going to come up about a 1/2 inch. I'm going to put another line right there, and that's going to be the brow line. That's where his line of his brow is, right here. Okay. Now then, I'm going to grab up my V tool. I'm going to come back down on the nose line, and I'm going to come right here. I'm going to start removing this wood, and I want to take it down until this is almost a 1/4 inch, about 3/16 actually. Okay, I forgot to put my glove on, and I'll probably have to stop here in a minute and do that. Alright, look at it from the side. A little bit more. Okay, looking at it, it's just about deep enough. Now, however deep you make this notch is how far the nose is going to hang off the face. If you want a flat nose like an Aborigine or a African American have, you wouldn't take much. If you want a big old nose hanging off like some Romans had or some English have, you'd take it further. Okay, but for right now, I think we're just about right there. Now I'm going to come up to this mark, which is the brow of the eye, and I'm going to start cutting it. I'm going to go right down the center of it, both sides, very carefully. Now you don't have to do this with a V-tool, you can do it with a knife also, just as easy. And if you're going to do it with a knife, you come back and you'll start the brow of the nose coming down like this. Drop back about 1/8 of an inch from the end of your nose here. You want to leave a little bit out there and just start cutting it back. Rock it, cut it, until you get it as deep as you want. Now you want to make sure when you're cutting this that you're not leaning one way or the other, that you're keeping it straight, and come on down like that. Now look at it from the side, and you want this point to be deeper than this point. Okay, that looks good. Now I'll come right here and take the knife, and I'm just kind of rounding this down in here a little bit. Not much. We'll do more of that later. But for right now, I'm just kind of rounding that down, like so. Okay. Rounding that down right there a little bit. Now, I'm going to take my pencil, and I determine how wide I want my nose to be. Now, always keep in mind, make it a little wider than you think you want it, because by the time you get it carved, you're gonna lose some. Okay, also at this time, and I should have already done this, I'm going to take a little bit off right here and a little bit off right here. Just put a flat place there. And the reason behind that is because we need to put a center line in here. Center lines are very important. You need to keep that on just about most of the way through the carving so that you can keep one side of the face to the other the same. Okay? Alright, there's my nose. And also so you can keep these two the same. Now if you don't have a set of dividers, you can take your pencil and do that. Put your thumb on it there. And come over here and check it. Now I'm off just a little bit. I usually do it by eye, but it's better to measure it. Now, for all intents and purposes, I want to come and make me another line about a 1/16 inch off that center line, and do that on both sides. And that will keep me from cutting the brow off this thing. I want to keep that brow. Alright, and then I'm going to make me a line from there to here. And these are just guidelines. They don't really mean much, but they're handy. Okay. Now there's the start of this nose. Doesn't look too good right now. And then I'm going to take my V-tool. I'm going to come back up here. I'm going to lay it right where those two lines make. And I'm going to go in and come out. And what I'm doing here is I'm setting up for the eye socket. And just get some wood out of the way, basically. Do the same thing on the other side here. I'm just making a scoop cut almost, okay, coming in, coming out. And I want to make that about where I think the side of the face is going to be, which in this case is probably about a 1/2 inch off each side. Now you want to stop and look at it and make sure you're kind of the same on both sides, kind of balanced looking. You come in a little bit more right here. And what this also does is start setting the nose off the side of the face. Now I'm going to take my V-tool, and I'm going to lay it right along that line I made, and I'm just going to cut straight back up. Just like that. Just going to kind of start putting in the sides of the nose, which we're going to change later on, but that's okay. Alright. I'm also going to, one thing that's real useful about a V-tool, especially a big wide one, is I can lay it down and use it like a chisel. And just remove a little bit more of that right in there. Do the same thing on the other side. And what I'm doing actually is laying that face back at that 45-degree angle. Okay. There we go. Now he's starting to look, you can tell it's starting to look something like a nose. Okay. And the profile is starting to be there. Alright, I need to go We'll come up here and take a little bit more of this. Now notice I took the center line out when I did that, but I want to keep that center line because we're going to need it. Alright. And there's the start of this little creature. Part 2 coming up next.